I think it's inevitable that we'll all have a few fashion regrets that we'll take with us to our grave. Today, we're going to rant with each other about all of the fashion items that we regret selling in our past. Welcome back to Fashionholics Anonymous. I am your chief member, Drew Joyner. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Drew. What it do? Let's talk fashion regrets. Make sure to comment down below the biggest selling regret you've had in your fashion journey. So back in 2019, I was a big fan of a little known brand, maybe you've heard of them, Aimé Leon d'Or. And in 2019, I was absolutely obsessed with the very first Aimé Leon d'Or New Balance collaboration, the ALD 997s. I used to watch this one creator's particular video review on these sneakers over and over and over and over and over and over again. That creator happened to be Ray Mia, someone who is a pretty prominent figure within the fashion YouTube space and sphere, and has created his own internet online focused brand called Ore NYC. Regardless, to get to the main plot of the story, I ended up copying the New Balance ALD 997s. I even made a review of my own. I think it's my very first YouTube video that I've ever posted. It's like the very first video on this channel. I made that video in 2019 when I was in college. I had no idea that I was going to be doing YouTube in the future. I had no idea I was going to be doing social media. And I made this video because I just love these shoes so freaking much, and I was inspired by Ray. The issue with these shoes is that they fit slightly too big, and it just killed me inside a little bit. It really did. I had coveted these sneakers for weeks, but every time I put them on and wore them and put a fit together with them, there was just a bit too much heel slippage, and when I was walking in them, I just felt like I looked goofy because I had that, when your heel slips, it just doesn't look right. It looks like you're wearing something that's not the right size, and I was, unfortunately. And as a result, I ended up selling them. At first, I didn't really regret selling those sneakers because I had recouped the investment or the money I had spent initially to buy them. But as the years have gone by, I really wish I still had a pair of this original New Balance ALD collaboration. This shoe in 2019 meant so much to me, and when I look at pictures of it online, and you don't really see it styled very much right now, so it's not really like what the cool kids or what's trendy right now, but it's just such a cool shoe for me, and it's such a moment for me that I wish I still had that shoe to kind of remind me of my entry point with fashion and New Balance and ALD and all these things. But now they're going for, I think, $700, $800, something like that, something insane, and I probably won't buy them for that price unless, I'm doing very, very well. Next, I used to have this vintage military US Army maroon red crew neck that I loved. I love this crew neck. I loved it because it was the perfect weight for the spring and for the fall, meaning that it had that versatility of the seasons. And I even found myself wearing it on the cooler days in the summer, which was awesome. And obviously crew necks work for the winter as well. So it was just this perfect kind of weight and feel and overall feeling to it that made it very, very wearable. I ended up selling this crew neck because both people online and in real life thought I was a active member duty or active duty in the military. And a part of me, I didn't really like that idea that, I was kind of like appropriating or wearing something that I wasn't really a part of. I've had family members who are part of the military, who are part of the Army, Navy, Air Force kind of thing, but I myself wasn't in that particular, sphere of occupation. And I remember specifically, there's a story in New York. I was walking into a building or something like that. I can't even remember. I think it was actually like a hotel lobby or something of the sort. And one of the doormen, he saw I was wearing this crew neck, and he was like, "Oh, you're stationed at Fort Lewis? Like, I got a brother who's at Cowpoke. I don't know, man." He said something along those lines, and I was like, "Oh yeah, nice." And I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want to say that I'm not stationed at Fort Lewis. I have no relation to Fort Lewis. I just like this crew neck, and that was the moment I realized, I probably should sell this. But all those things considered, I wish I had that crew neck, maybe without the exact wording on it, and just had the weight and the feel of that crew neck. It was a vintage one as well, so that's what made it really cool. But Yeah, I miss that US Army Fort Lewis crew neck. It was a good color too. That's not a color you see very often. When I bought these Suikoke Bower boots in 2021, I was in love with the shape and the feel of these boots. If you've never owned Suikoke footwear, the footbed is absolutely fantastic. Why? Because there are these intentional grooves that create this really awesome kind of foot feel as you're walking. It helps with arch support. It kind of gives your foot a bit of a massage. It's hard to demonstrate. I think it's called their EVAB footbed, if I'm not mistaken. I don't quote me on that. It could be called something else, but they're like footbed where your foot rests within one of their items of footwear. Oh man, it's so nice. I had purchased the Suikoke Bower boots in fall or winter of 2021, and then within a couple of weeks we had gone out to New York City. We were there during the winter. We were there in January, and I wore the Suikoke Bower boots the entire time in January, or not the entire time, but I wore them a lot while in New York City in January, and I loved them. But there was just this one thing that really just kind of made me very, very sad about them, and it's the sizing. Suikoke footwear, for whatever reason, fits a bit small. So on one end of the spectrum, earlier in this video with the New Balances, they fit big. On the other end of the spectrum, the Suikokes, they fit small. They were both US size 11s. The Suikokes were a size US 11. The New Balance 997s were also a size 11. One was too big, one was too small. That's why you have to know your sizing, but you also have to understand that the sizing systems that each company uses isn't always going to be representative of what actually your foot size is. And then God forbid that your foot swells up while you're walking all day. All these kind of factors play a role. But back to the Suikokes, the Bower boots just fit too small. And when a shoe fits too small, sometimes you can kind of work with the shoe to see if it'll break in more. You can remove the insole. You can do all these things and make it kind of better for your walking experience. But with the Suikoke Bower boots, you couldn't really do any of those things. And after prolonged wears with the Bower boots, going true to size, my foot, like my big toes, were hurting, especially walking around New York City in the winter, in the cold. Here's where the regret kind of comes in, because the next part of this story has a little bit to do with like really cool people at Suikoke and serendipity, but here, let me tell you. So I ended up selling the Bower boots because they were too small, right? But Suikoke had seen that I was wearing their boots. They saw that I was supporting their brand, and they reached out and they were like, well, Drew, we kind of understand that, you know, the Bower boots are a little bit small. I think I had voiced my opinion about this as well. And they're like, we can send you out another pair of Bower boots, but we only have these options available. And they only had the black variant available. I love the black variant. I'm looking at it right now. The Suikoke Bower boots are awesome. I got the correct size, which was a size up, a size 12. They fit fantastic. But the regret aspect of the Suikoke Bower boot story is that while the black variant does fit with a lot of outfits, black is an incredibly versatile item or color, or non-color, whatever you want to call it. The tan variant that I had before, oh man, I regret not having that exact same variant because it just adds a little bit of extra oomph to an outfit. I love playing with browns and tans, and especially during that time period, it's very easy to throw on black and just like forget about it. There's nothing wrong with that, but something about the tan variant, I just missed having it. And I miss having it from time to time. Not from a functionality standpoint. The black does a fantastic job from a functionality standpoint. But the tan just looks good. And I miss being able to kind of pair different things with the tan version that you don't necessarily get with the black. But that's kind of like a minor regret, but I kind of regret it. I wish I would have just got the right size to begin with, and none of these issues would have arose. You know what I mean? It's just, how many times do you buy something and you end up selling it, and the regret is not actually about the particular item, or it's not about like the fact that you sold the item. It's more so about the fact that the item doesn't fit you correctly, or there's a weird quirk about the item, or it's unwearable, and so you have to sell it, but then you miss the item as a result, because like while it was a minor inconvenience, it was nice being able to own a particular piece that you are fond of. And so that's kind of like one of the weirdest, biggest aspects about regret when it comes to selling, is that sometimes you have to sell an item of clothing. You just have to, whether it's monetary, whether it's the fact that it just doesn't work for you. And that's the case for the Suikoke Bower boots. And that's the case for, I guess, the New Balances as well. They just did not work for me in terms of how they fit my body, how they fit my feet. So they had to go. They were on the chopping block. Needless to say, I miss my tan Suicoke Bower boots. Let's get a word in for today's sponsor, Squarespace. Are you interested in making your very own website for a brand or creative project? Squarespace offers a comprehensive amount of features to make the website that you've always dreamed of. If you want to sell your products direct to consumer, or if you just want to display your body of work, Squarespace makes it easy to do that and more. Currently, I'm using my Squarespace website as a hub for all of my content and all of my social media platforms. And if you need a design to help nudge you into creating your first website, this is your sign. Visit squarespace.com/DrewJoyner for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Another one of the more interesting regrets that I had when I sold these were the New Balance Emilion d'Or 993s. As you can see, I love buying and selling Emilion d'Or New Balances. And so as the story goes, I was actually able to acquire both sets or both colorways of the New Balance Emilion d'Or 993, or however you want to title the shoe. I got the taupe pair and I got the beef and broccoli pair. I ended up making an unboxing for both sneakers on TikTok because I am someone who enjoys seeing unboxings online. I like being able to review a product or look at it or see it in detail before I purchase it. And that's kind of like one of the main value propositions of my channel and of my content. If you're interested in a product, I will try to review it and give you the best digital visual representation of an item before you end up actually buying it, or if you're interested in it before you realize that you want to buy it, or you look at it and you say, okay, I don't want to buy it now because I don't like this feature about it. That's a big part of my content. So I made that video for TikTok specifically. I made a video about both of the shoes and I was like, you know what? I probably should get some money back on this. I'm not in the position to where I can just spend $200 on 2 pairs of shoes. You can do the math there. And so I decided to resell or sell the sneakers immediately after buying them without even really trying them on. I didn't really even try them. I just sold them as new, unboxed them, showed them off, shipped them off. And they were actually selling for more. They were selling for more than their retail price. So I made a little bit of money on that, which is always really cool. But specifically with the taupe pair, or the, I think I called them like the mixed berry pair or blueberry pair or whatever it was, I actually really like those New Balances. I think that they're pretty cool. I think the beef and broccoli wasn't really the kind of direction my style was going into, especially because I think these shoes dropped in the spring. So the beef and broccoli, these were gone. Like I didn't want to wear like a kind of orangish, brownish, greenish, tannish shoe heading into the spring and the summer. But the taupes were a whitish, bluish, purplish shoe, but the only thing I didn't like about them was the fact that they had this black midsole. And I think if they would have had any other midsole, I would have maybe considered holding on to them a bit longer. And within the lineage of Emilion d'Or New Balance sneakers, I think that the 993s were probably some of the more lackluster collaborations that the companies have come out with, but at the time they were a hot button ticket item. Sold them for more. I kind of regret it, but overall, I mean, if I really think about it, like it's probably better that I made the money back because, you know, shoe is a shoe and the money is a money, so I needed the money basically. Probably one of the biggest regrets that I've ever had from a sold item, and it's not even really a fashion item. Welcome to the end of the video. This is like the bonus regret that you guys are getting, was my childhood Game Boy Advance SP. Not only why did I sell it, but why did I sell it on eBay for less than $30? Like I really gave someone a really good deal. I mean, it was a little bit, you know, it had been used, so it had some scratches on it here and there, but I really hooked somebody up with a Game Boy. For context, I grew up loving playing video games. I remember when I first got the Game Boy, it was the first game console I'd ever received from my parents, and I was just ecstatic. I just loved being in different worlds, playing games, accomplishing tasks, defeating enemies. It was just a part of my upbringing in the early 2000s. The Game Boy was the system that made me fall in love with Pokemon. It made me fall in love with the ability to just think creatively about different solutions. And I think that for a lot of kids or a lot of people who grew up playing video games or had video games in their life, a lot of us have fond memories with friends and just people in our lives playing these games and talking about these games, and so it just hits a real deep nostalgia nerve in me when it comes to like these type of entertainment systems. I sold it a long time ago. I think I ended up selling the Game Boy Advance because I was in high school, or maybe I was in middle school, and my focus at that time was girls, school, basketball, education. Not in that order, but I said it in that order. Right? And so, no, I wasn't really playing as much games anymore. And it was kind of like, as you get older, my perception of games, I thought, for whatever reason, that if I played these games, people would think of me as a nerdy, uncool, quirky dude. And so I ended up selling it, and I sold it for cheap because as a kid, I didn't have any concept of what money was. So I was just like, I'm selling it for $30. I'm rich. Like, I can go buy like Sonic. I can go buy some McDonald's, whatever it may be. And so that was kind of the logic behind it. But man, do I regret it. I would do anything to get, not anything, but I would do almost anything to get that original Game Boy back in my possession, because it just holds so much childhood memories and just so much childhood fun that I just sold for $30. Like, I didn't have the presence of mind to think about those kind of things. So I definitely regret it. The funny thing is, if you fast forward to now, I love gaming probably more than I did as a kid, even though I don't always get to play as much as I used to when I was younger, because being an adult means you have to do adult things like make money and go to dinner parties. I don't know, you have to do adult stuff, so like you don't always get the time to like do video games or leisure time. And I like manga and other things too, but it's crazy to me that now as an adult I have kind of gone in the opposite direction, that I'm such a nerd that I even collect old consoles. It's a part of my personality I don't share too much of, but I have some older Nintendo DS consoles and things that I collect, and I still play Pokemon, and I still do all those things. And if all the women who are watching this are just like, what is this guy talking about? We take fashion advice from this guy, or I guess men too. I don't know why I singled out women, but men too. That's just who I am, guys. Okay, I'm just a regular guy. But let's somehow outro this video. I would love to know what fashion items or just items in general that you regret selling. I'd be so curious to hear about that. And as always, I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity in 2023. So that means I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity to you from me, wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful rest of your day. A bientôt. Peace. Yo, what is good? Post vid. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day today. Here's the fist bump for the one time. Bop. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. It means the most to me. You didn't think we were gonna get 2 fist bumps though? Like, it's okay. Bop. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. The post vid question of the day is, do you have a favorite video game? Whether it's from childhood, maybe your brother played it with you, maybe your dad or your friend or whatever, you played it by yourself, or maybe you're playing it right now. I would love to know if you have a favorite video game. What is my favorite video game? That's a really tough question. I'll give you 4 games that I just absolutely love that I would say are my favorite. We have Pokemon Pearl and Diamond and Platinum. That's the generation I loved, those Pokemon games. We have Halo 3 specifically. Love Halo 3. Absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. We have Rainbow Six Siege. That's the game that I play more so now. Maybe you've heard of it. It's something I play more often now. Another game that I play now a lot is Sid Meier's Civilization 6. That's one of my favorite games. I've just put so much time into that I think it would be wrong of me not to include it, because I enjoy it a lot. But regardless, and that might not be even a good list, because I'm also thinking about like Breath of the Wild. I'm also thinking about things like Wii Sports. Yeah, there's been a lot of games that have been a lot of fun. I know I'm missing a ton, but I would be curious to hear what you guys like down in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you next week. Sorry that the microphone was like so like not in the right place in this video. It's just, I don't know, I'm just doing my thing, man. But Yeah, see you guys next week. Peace.